he's fresh off of Get Up, which means he's driving on the Merritt Parkway. I'm fresh off of Get Up, which means I'm 2 Brazilian coffees into my show. Good to see you, sir. Dan Orlovsky, how are you?
How are you, Legend? I'm doing great. I am on the Merritt Parkway, probably about 25 miles from home, so could take me 3 hours.
Let me tell you, man, you could take the boy out of Bristol, but you never take the boy out of that ride home from New York back to Connecticut. I know exactly where you are. I know exactly where you were gonna be. It brings back memories, sir. It brings back memories. Let's jump right into it. What are your thoughts on the Thursday night opener, the Eagles' victory over the Cowboys? We'll just go macro on you here, Dan.
From the Philadelphia Eagles perspective, one, quarterback looked fantastic. I thought Jalen played about as perfect as you could play. Literally, statistically, he rivals it. 23 pass attempts, 19 completions, so that's 4 misses, but 3 of them are drops and 1's a throwaway. So you watched him carry the football team. I thought was perfect.
I also know there's dead spots in the Merritt.
This guy's hot right now. This guy's hot right now. I think the second thing is you played your C game. You played your C game and you still win at home against a division opponent, whether you think that the division opponent is a world beater or not. That's encouraging. I think the 2 things that probably have Nick Sirianni's attention, one, the 9 penalties defensively for over 100 yards, not okay. Obviously, the Jalen Carter thing starts it, but the 9 penalties, and I think 3 or 4 of them unsportsmanlike, big deal. So addressing that. And the second thing is, and Rich, all going yesterday morning, leaning into the game, if I was the Cowboys, I'm throwing 80% of my passes opposite Quinyon Mitchell. So they picked on Adoree Jackson, and that's got to have your attention because they had Dallas a ton of success doing that, okay? So those are 2 things that if you're Philly, grab your attention, but you're 1-0. I think from Dallas, it's a double-edged sword for me. One, you gave the game away. It was there, and you beat yourselves. 4 drops. Obviously, the Miles Sanders fumble is huge. Shout out to Zach Bond because that fumble doesn't happen if he doesn't track him down. But the 4 drops by CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in football. It's there for the taking. So you're that one part of you like so disappointed in that regard. But on the other edge, you're going, I feel encouraged if I'm the Cowboys and their fans. My head coach looked like he got us to play the right way. Brian Schottenheimer looked competent. We're situationally in a good place. We situationally. Dak Prescott looked fantastic. He looked better last night than he did all of last season. The interior of our offensive line looked really good. Now, no Jalen Carter, so I'm not going to discount that doesn't matter. But that interior of the offensive line, given what was in front of them, looks very good. And I also think the defense was better against the run. So 0-1, no doubt, but I'm encouraged if I'm the Cowboys to clean some things up.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, we all, found it, I'll be honest, a little bit laughable to hear how let's trade away Micah because we need to stop the run. And here comes Kenny Clark straight up for Micah Parsons. You're wondering how in the world a team could do something like that. But you take a look at what happened last night. When Kenny Clark was on the field, the Dallas Cowboys allowed just 2.8 yards per carry. And then when Clark was off the field, 6.6 yards per carry. He actually did affect some things, and it came down to Jalen Hurts breaking their back with his legs when he wasn't being accurate with his arm. And you take a look at the CD drops, you got to figure that's not going to be the case. You're hoping that Javonte Williams' success wasn't completely all due to the fact that Jalen Carter spat his way out of the game. If you're Dallas, you do have to feel pretty damn good about all of that. Certainly if you want to prove that your coach has the chops and you want to prove that Micah's trade isn't the end of their existence, right?
Yes, right. So again, that's what vantage point did you want to see it? Because you could also make the case, Rich, like they win that game with Micah because those 5 first downs that Jalen runs for, Micah tracks him down for 1 or 2. So like you sit in, and that's why I say like a playoff contending football team is what I think I saw in Dallas last night, because They don't have any difference makers on defense. They don't. It's a good unit. It was solid, but they don't. If I look at the Rams, they got Jared Verse. If I look at the Eagles, they got Jalen Carter. If I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got Vita Vea, difference maker. And so, like, you're encouraged by the way the unit played. You sit there and go, it's still lacking that real, specifically front seven difference maker.
Well, I mean, I'm not sitting here obviously saying that they shouldn't have traded Micah. I mean, that's nuts. But what I again, it
Totally.
was an encouraging, execution that you saw last night. The result wasn't, but at least Dallas didn't get blown out, which I thought everyone thought was a possibility. And then you look at the Eagles, you're right. They were lucky to come out with a win last night, that the Cowboys would have 1,000,000% signed for Jalen Carter being kicked out before snap. And, if Saquon is only 60 yards and A.J. Brown doesn't get a single touch or a look until the final drive of the game, they would have signed for that. What about the passing game that you saw last night from Philadelphia moving forward that might be something? Because that was a major concern that caused A.J. Brown to start reading books on the sideline last year, and I'm wondering if that might be an issue for this team this year,
Right now, that's not something for me. I think that what I've evolved in my kind of the way I think about and look at Jalen and their passing game is I just think he's one of those rare guys, Rich, that just does whatever is needed on that play to make sure that play is operated the right way and that whatever's needed to win that football game. And so a lot of times with quarterbacking, you have your play. And then you get to the line of scrimmage and the defense has theirs. And the defense, in some ways, dictates to you what you're going to do with the ball. And you can't just force the ball to certain areas. And if you watch Dallas, they just played with really soft coverage. They played with that umbrella or half circle shell. You're not going to throw the ball over our heads. We're going to play a ton of zone. And that's why you saw Dallas Goedert get 7 catches. And so that's why you saw Jalen run the football 9 times, because they just kept everything in front of them. And we're not going to allow the ball to go over their heads outside of that one Jahan Dotson throw. And so I'm not going to overreact to it right now. I think it falls on Kevin Patullo, because here's the thing. Like, go back to the Super Bowl last year. And Kansas City came out and said, well, we're going to play with one safety in the middle of the field, and we're going to play man coverage, and we're going to challenge you guys. Jalen threw the ball downfield. That's just the simplistic beast of what you're going against in Philly's offense. If you want to make sure that you do not allow them to throw the ball downfield, then it's going to look like it did last night.
Dan Orlovsky joining us from the Merritt Parkway. I'm in Brazil. He's going from New York to Connecticut. What a connected world we live in, Dan. It's a beautiful thing right here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are the games you're looking forward to seeing the rest of week 1?
Obviously, tonight is going to be awesome just because I want to see if the Chiefs' offense looks different. How's that left side look with the new pieces on their offensive line? The Chargers play Kansas City tough. How are they able to control the line of scrimmage? I think, the Houston Rams game, what offensive line plays better? Both of those teams are ridiculously good on defense. I have a little bit of question marks on their offensive line. What's that for to Devontae Adams look like? I want to see what Steelers offensively present. How good is the offensive line play? How good does Rodgers look? How good does DK Metcalf and his connection look? Can the Washington Commanders handle the Giants front? Or do the Giants shock everybody? Because then that throws a whole nother conversation piece into it. I think Atlanta-Carolina is intriguing because we don't know a lot about Atlanta. We just don't know much about Michael Penix or those 2 pass rushers Atlanta took in the first round. So I think week 1 is going to be awesome.
So give me a team that you think is going to surprise. We're not talking about them enough going into week 1, and that we might actually see some results that are indicative of a better season this weekend, Dan.
Yeah. I would say the Broncos, but I think a lot of people are already talking about the Broncos. I've picked them to win the division. A team that I'll mention, the Falcons. I just think Atlanta's roster's really good. I think offensive line-wise, really good unit. I I believe that skill position group with Bijan Robinson and Drake London, there's more in Kyle Pitts, Michael Penix, and his just physical talent to throw the ball downfield. I've heard that those two pass rushers, Pierce specifically, has been outstanding in camp. And so they're a team in a roster that I still think if those picks are what they should be, they're scarier than people are nationally talking about. Now, I believed in them last year as well. I just thought Kirk would play well. Obviously, that didn't go good. I just think roster-wise, there's a lot of individual talent. I like Raheem, so I'll say the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. So you're saying, let me just pick up on the first thing you said, Dan Orlovsky, that the winner of the AFC West in the 2025 National Football League season is not going to be in this building in Brazil tonight. It's the one that's getting ready for the Tennessee Titans in their home building on Sunday. You think the Broncos win the division?
I do. I think the Broncos win the division. I think it's the best combination of offensive and defensive line groups in the AFC. They're so deep on the defensive line. I think they'll be top 5 at both units. Defensive Player of the Year. They got a head coach who's won the Super Bowl. I think that he's got a great understanding of who Bo Nix is and how Bo likes to play. I believe the addition of Evan Ingram gives them a yards after the catch guy. I think Franklin, their second-year receiver out of Oregon, is going to take a big step forward. And I'm a Bo Nix guy. I really believe that he plays this season the way we saw in the second half of last year. And, Rich, I'm just telling you, that defense is in the conversation for the best defense in football.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Kurt Warner when I had him on the show yesterday before I let you go, Dan Orlovsky. And maybe you've already just answered it with Bo Nix and your opinion of what the Broncos are going to do this year. A quarterback from last year's rookie class, name them all. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy, we don't have anything to go off of from last year. The quarterback from last year's rookie class that's going to have the biggest leap this year. And now this might take Jaden Daniels out of the mix because he already took a massive leap last year. But I give you the floor on which rookie from last year's class is going to take the biggest leap in 2025, Dan Orlovsky.
See, I think it's the East support of this because the offensive line, because of the skill group.
Give me that one more time because you froze there on the merit, and then I'll let you go.
Say Jay
Unless
McCarthy.
the Merritt Parkway is taking over the. He's taking the Merritt Parkway is taking over this program. All right, let me just say thank you to Dan. I appreciate it, and we'll get Dan Orlovsky back on this program when we get him on terra firma.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.